In 1994, Iowa's Dubuque Brewing and Bottling Company fulfilled an interesting order for a small batch microbrew. The customer wanted a flavorful but light in calories beer that could be marketed to the gay community for the upcoming Gay Pride festivities. The result was the Pink Triangle Premium Light Lager. One reviewer commented that there was not too much to it to taste besides the hops. But for those who purchased the Pink Triangle beer that summer, the fact that a percentage of all sales were donated to AIDS charities helped make up for any deficits in the beer's taste. Nearly 2 decades later, the American pop superstar Lady Gaga released her award-winning single, Born This Way. In the opening scene of the accompanying music video, a fluorescent pink triangle frames the singer as she begins her message to LGBTQ viewers. God makes no mistakes, she sings. You were born this way. Within weeks, the song became an anthem promoting acceptance of the global LGBTQ community. In 2018, the athletic company Nike made headlines when it released a line of shoes, t-shirts, and socks featuring pink triangles on them. The slogan of Nike's Be True collection was reclaiming the past and empowering the future. The aim was to highlight, quote, colors and symbols that have been reclaimed and historically repurposed by the LGBTQ community. Now, each of these occurrences pose opportunities for inquiry in their own right, but collectively, they raise an underlying question. How did the pink triangle, a symbol that originated as a concentration camp badge in Nazi Germany, come to appear in LGBTQ marketing and pop culture in the United States 70 years later? The answer spans continents and decades, and ultimately sheds light on the roles that Holocaust memories played in shaping transatlantic gay rights activism beginning in the 1970s. The roots for how and why the pink triangle became a symbol of gay liberation stretch back to Germany at the end of the Second World War. Upon the defeat of the Third Reich, the Allied powers were faced with the task of caring for the hundreds of thousands of liberated concentration camp prisoners. While individuals who had been imprisoned on religious, racial, or political grounds were released, the United States' Handbook for Military Government in Germany prior to defeat or surrender directed American military officials not to release so-called ordinary criminals. Because the men with the pink triangle had violated paragraph 175, Germany's national law against same-sex behavior among men, they were regarded as criminals. As such, the American military often transferred gay concentration camp survivors who still had time left on their sentence to local prisons to serve the remainder of their term. During the process of denazification, the Allies did not strike down paragraph 175. The Nazis did not write the law. Indeed, it had existed since the unification of Germany in 1871. But they did substantially amend it in 1935, thus giving the German state unprecedented legal authority to go after men even suspected of being gay. In 1949, when East and West Germany were created, both countries kept the Nazi version of paragraph 175. The East German government quickly reverted the law to its original wording and then liberalized it further in 1957. In 1968, East Germany fully abolished paragraph 175. As a result, the East German government prosecuted far fewer gay men under paragraph 175 than West Germany did. There were several legal challenges to the continued use of paragraph 175 in West Germany, but in 1957, the Federal Constitutional Court ruled that while the Nazis had amended the law, the new version did not represent, quote, typical Nazi injustice. Furthermore, the law was still needed to protect the moral fortitude of the German people, the court asserted. In total, West Germany arrested 100,000 gay men using the Nazi version of the anti-gay law. In addition to destroying these men's lives, these policies also had an impact on how West Germans remembered the Nazi past and how they understood justice and victimhood. So if you look at these policies, combined with the stifling social taboos in the public, It created a metaphorical closet in which gay men had to hide not only their sexuality, but their memories of the past as well. The result was a silencing of the only voices that portrayed gay men as victims of the Third Reich rather than criminal perpetrators. Like much of the globe, West Germany in the 1960s underwent extensive changes in social, cultural, and political values. By the end of the decade, West Germany's leading political party had shifted from the conservative Christian Democratic Union to the left-wing Social Democratic Party. It was in this context of social change that the West German parliament amended paragraph 175 in 1969, thus decriminalizing sex among men over the age of 21. The amendment of the law opened the space for the emergence of an organized gay rights movement. One of the first gay liberation groups in West Germany, and eventually the largest and most significant, was the Homosexuelle Aktion West Berlin, or the Gay Action Group of West Berlin, abbreviated HAW. Two of the group's central aims were the repeal of paragraph 175 and the government acknowledgement of and compensation for the Nazis' gay victims. During this early period of gay liberation, coming out became a political act and an important tactic for gay rights groups such as the HAW. Publicly and openly claiming a gay identity was understood as an individual emancipation and also a necessary step to ending social oppression of the LGBTQ community more broadly. One way of establishing this personal and social coming out was to wear a symbol that identified the wearer as gay. HAW members suggested several possibilities for the new gay symbol, including a crossed out 175. Ultimately, that was rejected because it was too narrowly focused on a single law. In 1972, a Hamburg publishing house released Die Männer mit dem rosa Winkel, or The Men with the Pink Triangle. It was published under the pseudonym Heinz Hager. It was the first published account of a gay concentration camp survivor, and for members of the HAW, the title of the book offered a solution to the gay movement's problem of identification and visibility. It was a simple, yet it carried a powerful resonance because Germans would instantly recognize it as a concentration camp badge. One member noted, at its core, the pink triangle represented a piece of our German history that still needed to be dealt with. And so in October of 1973, the HAW became the first gay rights group in the world to adopt the pink triangle as a logo of gay liberation. For members of the group then, the act of coming out became linked to memories of the Nazi past. The new gay rights symbol originated in West Berlin, but it didn't stay there long. This was a time of constant movement of ideas, news, information, and people. Jim Steakley was an American graduate student working on his doctorate in German literature, and as such, he traveled often back and forth between West Germany and the United States. During his time in West Berlin in the early 1970s, he joined the HAW and was present during the vote to adopt the pink triangle. In February of 1974, he brought the history of the Nazis' gay victims across the Atlantic with him and published an article in the Body Politic, a gay liberation newspaper based in Toronto, but with a substantial readership in the US. Therefore, the pink triangle found a new life, an ocean away from its origins. The symbol fit American activists' political cause for gays across the nation to come out. It was a simple, yet bold and striking emblem. And unlike the Greek letter lambda, which had been used previously, the pink triangle pointed to a specific history and carried a specific message about the dangers of governments discriminating against minorities. By August of 1974, just 10 months after the HAW adopted the logo, activists in New York wore armbands emblazoned with pink triangles as they advocated for a gay rights bill. From there, it spread across the country. Gay Americans quickly adopted this chapter of German history as their own, but pink triangle memories took on new life as they proliferated in the American context. In both countries, the symbol became a marker for a politicized and out gay identity. Unlike in West Germany, there was no need for American activists to petition their government to compensate gay concentration camp survivors. Pink Triangle memories in the United States often shunned historical specificity and focused instead on rhetorically linking present-day discrimination with the specter of Nazism. This was done both to motivate the LGBTQ community into action and to attack political opponents. Some of the earliest documented uses of the Pink Triangle in the US, however, were attempts at coalition building. In 1977, for example, a letter to the editor of the San Francisco Sentinel urged gay activists to use the Pink Triangle in the fight against the singer-turned-activist Anita Bryant. The homophobic Bryant was leading efforts to overturn a gay rights ordinance that had recently been passed in South Florida. So, quote, in Miami, the Pink Triangle must become a central part of the campaign. The Jewish vote is essential to our victory in Miami, and the Pink Triangle can make the difference. So in this particular case, the Pink Triangle was deployed to foster a sense of solidarity and collective action among the gay and Jewish communities, since both had been persecuted by the Nazi regime. By the late 1980s, activists from across the country began planning a national march on Washington for lesbian and gay rights. And when the planning committee settled on a logo for the 1987 march, they chose a symbol that they knew powerfully bound together issues of civil rights in the present and a dark reminder from history. By the end of the 1980s, the Pink Triangle had become the most powerful symbol of gay rights around the world. By the time of the 1987 National March, the debates and discourses resulting from the rising death toll of the AIDS crisis, paired with inaction on the part of the Reagan administration, resulted in numerous comparisons with the Holocaust. In the late 80s, some conservatives called to quarantine HIV-positive individuals, or even labeled them with tattoos so they could be easily identified by the general public. In 1986, a group of activists and artists in New York City decided to counter these Holocaust-esque suggestions with Holocaust rhetoric of their own, meant to inspire America's LGBTQ communities into action during the AIDS crisis. What they came up with was a poster with a simple yet powerful design. It was an upturned fuchsia triangle imposed over a solid black background. The motto under the triangle, silence equals death, was a reversal of the situation of gay men during the Third Reich. For those men, hiding one's sexuality often meant escaping detection by the Nazis. Thus, silence equaled life. During the AIDS crisis, however, not knowing or keeping silent about one's HIV status could lead to death. Furthermore, the silence, lack of leadership, and inaction of the federal government led to countless preventable deaths. In 1987, the activist group AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, or ACT UP, adopted the poster, and this symbol would come to represent AIDS activism around the world. Commemoration ceremonies and building physical memorials to the Nazis' gay victims became a place where history and social activism came together. As LGBTQ communities fought for justice in the present, they also sought to force society to acknowledge injustices in the past. Gay rights group in West Germany began petitioning to memorialize gay victims beginning in the mid-1980s. By the end of the 1990s, there were a number of plaques and tablets across the Federal Republic. Many carried the inscription, "Beaten to death, silenced to death," a reference to the double victimization of persecution during the Third Reich, and then the forced, often deadly silence of the post-war era. Public debates about Pink Triangle memorials often renewed calls for the federal government to acknowledge and compensate the Nazis' gay victims. It was only amidst plans for a national memorial to gay victims that the government of now unified Germany decided in 2003 that it would rescind the convictions of men sentenced with paragraph 175 in the Nazi era. The decision, at long last, acknowledged them as victims of injustice, thus making them eligible for compensation. As with the reclamation of the pink triangle as an activist logo, the memorialization of gay victims began in West Germany, but soon transcended national boundaries. To date, there are 22 memorials in 9 countries across the globe dedicated to gay victims. One of note is the annual Pink Triangle constructed on Twin Peaks overlooking San Francisco for the LGBTQ Pride Parade weekend. The 1-acre Pink Triangle educates people who are celebrating Pride below about the hate that the global LGBTQ community has faced in the past. Pictured in this photograph are Patrick and Hussein Carney, the organizers of the annual display. In the background, you can see the Pink Triangle, which is visible behind the large rainbow flag that flies in San Francisco's Castro district. By the 1990s, the rainbow flag became the predominant symbol of the LGBTQ community, first in the United States and then across the world. Critics of the Pink Triangle argued that it focused too much on the history of gay men and that it anchored the gay community's identity to a history of persecution. The multiple colors of the rainbow, on the other hand, symbolize the diversity of the global community, and it also represents a shift in focus to a positive, future-oriented identity. While the Pink Triangle has lost some of its potency as a political symbol, it remains closely tied to LGBTQ culture. Hence the examples from the beginning of this lecture of Pink Triangle beer, Pink Triangle Nikes, and Pink Triangles in music videos. You may also see them around college campuses or offices, marking safe spaces, for example. More often than not, the two prominent symbols are merged together and a rainbow triangle symbolizes a safe space. As the Pink Triangle became depoliticized, it also lost its historical context. And the loss of an understanding of the terror and resilience that the symbol embodied, both as a concentration camp badge and as a logo of social activism, paved the way for individuals and organizations to trivialize the symbol, such as companies exploiting the Pink Triangle to advertise for gay-friendly coupons, or even more problematic, the company Urban Outfitters selling a striped tapestry with the Pink Triangle. The history of the Pink Triangle teaches us many things. First, it shows us how single symbols can be embodied with multiple meanings that take on a life of their own in new contexts. It originated as a mark of shame, a badge that damned its wearer to a life of terror and torture. Immediately after the Holocaust, West German judges, politicians, scholars, and the public continued to treat the Pink Triangle as a badge of shame. They silenced the voices of gay survivors and kept their stories out of the history books. And as we saw, the silencing of history can have devastating and even deadly consequences. And yet, through 6 decades of advocacy and activism, LGBTQ communities in Germany and then the world broke this imposed silence. They transformed the symbol of oppression into one of liberation and pride. And when they wore the Pink Triangle, they not only outed themselves, they outed a social movement and this chapter of Holocaust history. In short, the Pink Triangle came to help individuals and whole communities make sense of their place in the world and in history. Perhaps the greatest legacy of the Pink Triangle is that memories have power. How we remember the past can and should make an impact on our lives today. While gay activists, grassroots scholars, and community organizers fought for equality in the present, they made a promise to the generations before them. We will remember. For they knew a simple truth. It's not enough simply to remember. It's not enough to tell untold stories. In the end, remembering must have consequences. Thank you.
Thanks for watching my lecture on Pink Triangle memories. If you're interested in learning more about LGBTQ history during or after the Holocaust, I invite you to check out my website at wjakenewsome.com/resources. Thanks.